All right, so right here you can see this is the hospital steward's quarters. Only lasted 4 years, 1887 to 1891. But look how tall this is. So this most certainly would have been the head doctor's house that he would have stayed in for those 4 years. That would have been the fireplace, of course. And you can see, even as tall as and stuff as it was, I mean, I'm sure it was a 2-story house, but the rooms were pretty small. Let's look around at it through here. You can see this is windows. Looks like, of course, there could have been stairs, so I guess that could have been a doorway and you could have went in there. Or the same thing could have been true here. Who knows? But this was a pretty tall house, so I'm sure in its heyday, this was a 2-story house right here. And then, right there, would have been his privy. So he got to hang out there. But that's the house. So, pretty cool. This is the outside of the hospital over here. And we will look at that in a couple of minutes. I'm being told to go back this way. So let's go do that. Okay, so you can see this is the officer quarters from 1854 to 1862. And as I was just saying, it makes sense they would have been staying up here. Because think about it, there's the hospital, but then way down there by the officers' houses, which is way in front of that hospital, that was enlisted men's quarters. So of course enlisted men would have been literally physically lower than these higher houses up here. And of course, and then these guys would have had this for a view. So it makes sense that I'm sure that's what all of these are. We'll look at this sign on this one.
This is a temporary hospital over there.
Okay, that far one over says temporary hospital. So it's very small. Here, of course, like I said, yeah, it's definitely another officer's quarters from 54 to 62. And again, this would have been their backdrop. And so you can see the hospital most certainly changed. This is a temporary hospital from 68 to 75. So for 7 years, this little thing, I mean, you see the stones right there to right there. So man, not much. And it changed later on, obviously, to that. So far bigger. Okay. So this is the magazine up here. This is where they would have kept all the powder and the bullets and everything. That's what a magazine is. So this would make sense too, that they kept this absolutely as far away from the main post in case, of course, it explodes. Which back in those days, that was a very common thing, especially with soldiers deserting or something. You know, you blow this thing up, it gets everybody's attention, you can get out of Dodge. So yeah, man, from 1869 all the way to 1891 till this place was deactivated, this was the magazine. And you can see right in there, carbine ball, caliber 45, rifle ball, 45 cartridges. That's pretty much what all of those say.
Look at this.
And you can see it's pretty tall over here. Well, if you can see, I guess you can. Up in there. Pretty tall. Yeah, they say they could have hung guns and stuff here on the door itself. So, pretty cool. So, this is where the magazine was kept from. And you can see way down there is what was the current day, you know, officers' quarters way down there. So, they put this stuff as far away as they could, man, to keep from an explosion. So let's go check out the internals of the hospital, and I'll show you that next. Okay, so you can see this sign. It says Woodhouse, 1876 to 1891. Very, very small, but obviously they would have kept their wood in here, I'm sure, for the heat of the hospital, which is right here. And in fact, oh, okay. Yeah, so this, just outside the hospital, is a cistern. So all their water, of course, would have been right here. So they would have had easy access to get buckets of water and take it in for cleaning and I'm sure drinking and everything else. So this would have been their cistern. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let's head on here in the back way since we got some steps and go check this thing out and think about all the sick people, dying people, dead people. Of course, doctors and nurses that worked here. You know, this would have been a very hard job, very rough life. Okay, yeah, you can't get into that door, so let's get into this one. Oh wow, floor's gone and everything. See a big fireplace right here, window, But yeah, so this would have been a floor up here. So it's built way off the ground when it was. Hard to imagine anything in that though. Life was more deadly than battle. Yep, no doubt. Ooh, look at those things they used to work on you with.
Dispensary.
Okay, dispensary, so that's where all the drugs were.
Oh, this was the isolation room, by the way you just looked at.
Was it? Okay. Okay, so this is the dispensary. Again, you can see got its own fireplace there. Pretty good sized room, actually. So your druggist would have been here, your pharmacist. Yeah, and that's his isolation room. Death in the family. I don't know if you can see this or not because it's really dark in here, but if you can pause this. Read it. See the pictures? Show those up close. Diphtheria. I'm sure it was a major problem. And then all alone. Okay. Here's storeroom. Fit or unfit for duty. And again, look at these little things, man. They would stab you with and jab you. Wow, not good. You can pause all this, of course. Read that if you like. Private George Chapman Company, K, 16th Years Infantry. Okay, so you can see again the floor is completely and totally gone. So you can see how high the floor would have been off the ground down there. So you'd have been protected from that for sure. Boy, this is really dark. So this would have been...
Post-surgeon's office.
That's what I would have thought. Yeah, it's the post-surgeon's office, so the head doctor. This would have been his office. You can see he would have had all these medical books. His own fireplace. And there's he could have had a patient there to examine them right here in his office. His desk, of course, to write up his reports, prescriptions, and yeah, it does. This is the linen room, so of course all their sheets and all that stuff, towels. Yeah, check this out. This says J.W. plus Debbie Holder, April 21, 1957. So, see, there were morons even in 1957. That was defacing this stuff. Such a disgrace. All right, here we got a kitchen dining room. Oh, okay. So here is obviously where food would have been made and ate. So you can see there's a fireplace there. Check it out, they got a ladder here to crawl down in there, but obviously the floor would have been up at this level where that ledger board is there. So, a couple of windows there. And that would have been a doorway over there. And then this is the hospital steward's room. There you go. You know what that is? Hospital restoration. Ooh, chloroform. Wow. My goodness. Needle to inject you. My goodness. Scary, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very scary.
Hole in your skull.
Yeah, ooh. Yeah, look at that. Cut a hole in your head. How cool would that have been? Just what the doctor ordered, wheel of misfortune. So you turn this wheel to choose a patient, diarrhea, rheumatism. Next, turn this wheel to choose a treatment. Man, that is hard. Yeah, let's give him cod liver oil, okay? And then lift this flap to see the treatment is effective. Well, apparently I killed him. I guess, I don't know. Here, let's see. Bronchitis for this little girl, okay?
No, you see that's the one. Nope. Turn this again.
No, leave it there. Okay, let's look at salicylic acid. Man, that's hard. Not called for. Oh, it says up there, not called for here. That's what it is. I didn't see that before. Okay, opium.
Yep.
Yeah, looks like that that would have been it for that. See, I could have been an Old West doctor. Okay, so here, whoa. Okay, this is just a little room. Very dark in here, very dark. And this is the other side from that doctor's office that we looked at. So you've seen all that. Okay, looks like the doctor is in.
Oh, we're going back to the one you took before and see what it said since you didn't.
Oh, for the rheumatism?
Don't
think we need an antiseptic here.
Okay.
Salicylic acid. Nope, says nothing. I guess, let me pop it back down to make sure. Oh yes, release pain, fever, and swelling. So there we go, boom. I was right. Like I said, I could have been a doctor. If I was here in the 1850s, I could have been a fantastic doctor. Hey, how you doing?
Good, about yourself?
Very good. Ward number 2, 12 beds, 1884 to 1891. They just got a wagon in here now, but
Right here, look.
there was... Okay, yep, there's the ambulance right there. Look at that. Had a 4-cylinder engine, at least a 4-horsepower engine. Here, if you wanna read this, like always, pause it. You can see all that. There's an ambulance wagon. You can pause and read all that stuff. This down here,
That's it, except for the porch.
and then right there. So there you go. So nothing up.
No.
Those steps are just the porch. So you can see there's a bench for modern day people to sit on. And then let's just go ahead and walk this. Boy, they got a lot of wood here to, I guess, to fix those floors up inside of there. Your fee dollars at work. Medicine on the frontier. So these apparently are some of the people who actually worked here.
You want to get that sign and get that sign there.
Okay. So that's where we started. Back there we come up here. You see ward number 1, 12 beds, 1876 to 1891. We've already looked at that. I am told there's another sign down here to get. Post Hospital, 1876 to 1891. So here, just to show this whole thing to you, that end, this sun is going to be killer. If I can hopefully maybe block some of it, all the way down to there. So now we're going to go over here and we're going to look at this building, see what it is.
A bunch of signs all over.
Maybe that's for specialized patients, I don't know. And that little building back there, you see a little piece of that actually says Earth Works or something, did you say?
You have to go back and get it.
If that's what it says, I don't even know what it means, so. Anyway, it's a hospital storehouse, 1882 to 1891. So that's what that is. So I'm sure this also is where they would have kept a lot of their drugs and things that they needed. Boy, it's very hard to see in here. Very fine mesh on these windows. Got a lot of other stuff over here. So let's go check some other things out. Okay, so you can see this little building up from behind the hospital I pointed out a minute ago. It says Earth Closet. I don't even know what that means. I want to look that up. And if you know, maybe leave it in a comment on this video. Because honest to goodness, I've never heard of that. So
No, there's something over there too, but there's no sign. So
it's not a bathroom, because right here is the privy, right there beside it. So I don't know what in the world that means, but we'll go down here, take a look. There are several other foundations here, so let's head that way next. Okay, so here you can see this is the commissary and quartermaster storehouse, 1858 to 1862. So for 4 years, it's fairly long. It goes from right there and stretches all the way down to there. So I'd say that building was probably at least 100 feet long. So even back then, they had to keep quite a bit of stuff. So we'll go back here and look at these other ones and see what they are. All right, so look here. Isn't this funny? Bakery, 1856 to 1862. So this would have been the original bakery. So think about it. Now we have now seen 3 bakeries, depending on the time of, of the 1800s that you were here. But so this is where the actual first bakery started.
And they have one of the better locations.
So yeah, they did had a nice view here. So you can see this post actually started up more on this side of this area, and then as it expanded, it moved on down that way. So they wanted to be up next to these rocks. You could tell, probably felt more protected and less prone to attack and stuff. That they could see their attackers coming from this way, and that had been that. But here is the blacksmith shop, and this is from 1855. That's even before this fort actually really started, until 1859. So there you go. This is where your blacksmith would have been. All right, let's keep on moving. So now you see all these wooden stakes here coming down. And what do you think this was? Well, this was the Sutler's Store, 1854 to 1862. So there would have been a regular store here back when this fort first started. So pretty wild. And again, here you can see the back of all the officers' quarters back there. And there's another building up over here. We'll shoot that as well. And then we'll move on up to the main houses and help take care of that. Right here you can see the commanding officer stables from 1871 to 1891. So they are right here. So as I was just stating here, that the commanding officer's horses would not be fraternizing with the lower horses, So they got their own nice little house up here above all the soldiers. So another look at the hospital right there. So you can see that's a pretty commanding building that was on this fort. You would not have made a mistake of where the hospital was. And this right here is really another sign that they had up there. So, not too much look at that, but just show you, that's the hospital, and that's its background. Not a bad background, huh? All right, so here we found another house that looks like it's done. All the rest of these are kind of, torn apart and everything. But here, just to show you real quick, this is the kitchen for this house, and this is a much bigger kitchen, actually. There's some cellar doors, actually. So, pretty neat. Oh, seeing this is, it's a little bit open. Anyway, we can look in here. So you can see this would have been a parlor because there's a piano, guitar, fireplace. There's a family portrait over there. Here's a desk where the man would have, used to write. Here's a rocking chair and a table. Look there, they're playing dominoes. And then a settee thing over there. And then, of course, bookcase for the family library. All these shutters on these great big windows. Okay, now that's closed off, but here is the dining room. We'll probably get a look at that from the inside, I'm guessing, but still, look at it. That is very formal. So there was definitely a higher, I would say at least a captain maybe lived in this house. But here, let's look back here first. Then we'll go into the other way. Just to see, oh yeah, see here's a little sewing table. So the lady of the house, this would have been her sewing room. And look at that. Yeah, she's definitely a hired officer's wife. She had running water in the house. Very few people actually had that on this base, what we were told. And you can see there's a bed there, a big sleigh bed. There's a little bed over there, probably for a little kid. And you can see they got checkers right there going on the table. So, pretty cool. Here's another bedroom. Boy, this is a big one. This is probably the master. That's got a really fancy bed in it. I'm sure you can see that. Chest under at the foot of it. And of course, a couple of chairs, fireplace. So I got a feeling this was the master bedroom. And let's go ahead over here and take a look at what we have here. Right here's a little fireplace slash cook stove. I guess you can heat water and stuff on it. Flue goes all the way up. And look here. Here's where the lady of the house could have checked herself before she went out and hung her coat and put on her shoes and umbrella, all of that. And then, yep, right here, you can see his living room, parlor actually. That's what it would have been. Several chairs to sit on. So I see at least 5. Of course, fireplace and some pictures and things. And look at that light up there. So yeah, this was a very formal house. Let's go here and look at this sign, because, oh yeah, look at this, man. They got a great big porch, chair, rocking chair, swing. See, I'm guessing this was at least a captain, for sure, maybe even a major. Let's go see. Commanding officer's quarters. This building serves as a residence for the commanding officer. Construction of the house began in 1867 under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Wesley Merritt, who was the first to move in and call it home. Today it is furnished to the time when Colonel Benjamin H. Grierson, commander of the Black 10th U.S. Cavalry, and his family lived here in 1882 to 1885. So, yes. So this would have been the first commanding officer's house, as they said. So he was right here. Looks like dead in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So there's 13 houses here. He made sure he was dead center. So he was a center of attention, literally. So very nice. And so now we're going to go back and look at these bigger houses. I'm sure these became the commanding officer's quarters, because these are much, much bigger. And this would have changed. So let's go look at that. All right, so this is the only restored kitchen that they have. So if you remember, I tell you, every one of these houses behind them had a kitchen. Well, this is the one that's restored. And we actually were in this one earlier today, but I hadn't really started the video yet. But you can see it says officer's kitchen and servants' quarters. So if you look here, you can see the table there, little place for storage. The stove is over in the far corner over there. There's an ironing board and a place you can see to hold food storage. And pretty simple but effective, did the job. Yeah, and then right here you see here's a barrel that they kept for kindling and stuff, for wood for the stove. At least that's what they're using it for today. And there is a water spigot out here. And so they did have that. And you can see this would have been the kitchen for that house. So each house had its own kitchen. Oh, guess what? We're in luck. Officer's quarter kitchen, 1872 to 1891. You can see that. So here we go. We can get a little gander. So this would have been where the servants' quarters, as you can see, would have been. And says they could earn $5 to $10 a month, in addition to their army pay of $13 a month. Ooh, so you could make 18 to 23 bucks a month. Their single women were difficult to keep, as enlisted men viewed them as potential brides. Many officers' wives kept busy recruiting and training new servants. So, as you can see back here is where she would have stayed. This has been her little bedroom. Store her clothes and stuff there. And here's the kitchen on the other side. So here you can read all that. And then you can see this stuff from the other side and see it a lot better. So there you go. Pretty cool. So that's that. Let's keep going. Okay, so just as we're continuing here in the back of the officers' houses now, you can see right here, this is the enlisted men's barracks, 1856 to 1862. So if you remember, that was the start of this fort. So all the enlisted men were down here in a line, and all the officers were way up there behind the hospital. So like I said, they were physically higher, just not higher in rank. So they made sure that you had a physical notice of that you were lower if you were down here than them in every fashion of life. And also right here in front of us, as we're walking up to, if you can't read that sign yet, it says enlisted men's barracks, 1856, but it was also a guardhouse, so a jail, from 1858 to 1862. So in those 4 years, if you were staying in here, you weren't happy. You just weren't happy about the military at all, or where your life had gone. But anyway, we're going to march on down here and check out these great big houses, and then a couple of little things, and we will be done with this tour. All right, so you see out here, behind, this is the restored kitchen that we're looking at, and right there was the then modern day dryer. So that's how they dried their clothes, especially if you're in your 20s or 30s. You wouldn't even know what that is, but that's what that is. It's called a clothesline. You hung your clothes and you let nature and the wind and the sun dry them for you. So let's head on down and check out the big houses. All right, so this is the first big house that we've come across. Now, we were just talking about this and we don't see a sign. So I'm just guessing. I do not know any of this. This is pure conjecture what I'm about to say. I got a feeling this was maybe, down there, remember in the middle, I pointed out that was the commanding officer's quarters. I got a feeling that in later years that this probably became his quarters, so he could get a little bit away. And then the next big house that we're going to go to all the way down there, I would say was more in the waning years of this post, that he was trying to get even further away. But you can see there's a few boards laid in here, and old adobe bricks again in here as well. Wood up there because this would have been a second, had a second floor. This would have been the stairs right there, and that's about all we can see. And had a fairly small porch actually, but a high porch, of course, so you could stand here and you could definitely be seen when you're standing on your porch as an officer. So it takes you longer to get down, so it makes you more impressive as well. So let's take a look at it from this side. You can see there's a little porch there on the side, so you probably could have come out there and smoked or whatever. Your privy would have been out here somewhere, I'm sure, so that would have been your shortcut to get to that. So you can see the Fort Davis Cemetery is a quarter of a mile ahead. So here is where all the dead would have wound up. Brass heart found in an unmarked grave at Fort Davis. Look at that, Fort Davis section of the San Antonio National Cemetery. They were moved in 1892 to the San Antonio National Cemetery. All the lights here now are memories of their first resting place. Wow. Okay, so we're not going to go down there and take a look at it. We're just going to take a look at the houses. But here is a nature trail. There's this old house here. You can see the fireplace was pretty tall, so the roof on this thing would have been tall. And it's being held up, you can see right there. But again, this one does not have a sign or anything, so we have no idea who it was used for and all of that. But down here, to my eye anyway, I think this is the biggest house on the post. So like I said, I got a feeling in the waning years of this post that the head commanding officer had this house built and moved into that so he could be the absolute furthest away from the noise from the soldiers, because he was too important to be bothered. But right here is a building, and there are a sign or two here, so we'll see what this was. And first one tells you it's fragile. Junior officer quarters, 1885 to 1891. So that tells me there would have been several officers that would have lived in this big place. They would have shared it, at least two. That looks like that would be a porch, and that looks like that would be a porch. So I'd say there was at least, a door there, a door there. So two junior officers would have shared that. All right, so this, of course, again, this is the last house that we're going to look at. There's another building that we're going to look at. I think it's the chapel, but anyway, this was in a nice setting. There is no sign on this one either, so we're not even sure. There's a sign back there that says Abandoned Cemetery. All right, so here's the house, and this video probably looks a little bit different because I'm having to do this on my 5D. But anyway, we'll just walk up to it. Of course, I don't have the stabilization, so this footage I'm sure will not be near as good as what all the other has been, but I am not going to get this close to the end and not be able to show you the very end of this thing. But here's the inside of the house. You can see there's a room over there. There's a room through there. We can see through that crack a little bit. And this, of course, is the porch I walked up on, and you can stand out here and see the whole fort. So again, I have to believe that this was a commanding officer's quarters, because he can stand here and he can see his entire fort. That is his. So let's go on around. You can see the adobe here, and we're here. let's get, because I see we have a little bit better view here actually. So you can see into the room, but you see, I mean, the flooring is gone, everything. So there's nothing of real interest here to see, to be honest about it. Okay, and that sign there says abandoned cemetery, no marked graves, quarter of a mile that way. And up here, next to this big house, is the married soldiers' quarters. So obviously if you were married and were just a regular soldier, you would lived over here. And this is obviously just one foundation that's left. You can see. And that would have been your background, so not too bad, huh? You'd have had pretty good quarters as well. And then here, I'm sure that actually is the kitchen for this house. Let's go take a look at this. So this would have been the kitchen, I'm sure, from the big house right behind me. One of these would have been the kitchen, and one of these would have been the quarters for the cook to stay in. So they'd have had basically half of this place, and then the kitchen to cook the meals for the family, and this big old house right here would have been, is what that was for. Okay, I see we got another building down here, so we'll go look at a couple other things, and then we're going to head up there because we have not looked at that, and I believe that's the chapel, and then we will be done. That will be the end of this, so I'll be back. All right, so you can see this is the NCO staff quarters and signal officer from 1870 to 1891. This is what's remaining of it. And of course, again, and they had those nice rocks for the background, so they didn't have it too bad. Right down here, this is the band barracks. So if you were in the band from 1882 to 1891, you lived here. So I assume they separated you so that, you know, you could all live together, get to know each other, practice, all that stuff without bothering everybody else on the base. So this is where you would have stayed if you were in the band. Pretty cool. So let's keep going. All right, so here's the enlisted men's barracks from 1883 to 1888. They go down there, and this is a pretty good sized building. And you can see all the way down to there. And I would say that next set on down there, like in there, is also the same thing. So we're going to go over now. Chapel. So this is the post headquarters, 1891. Just right there. So that's a pretty done. Pretty sure this is part of the chapel. Let's go check it out. So here you can see this is the post chapel, just as I thought it was. You can see it says chapel, library, schoolroom. You can go ahead and pause this and read all that if you want. Here's a picture of it. It was still standing circa 1923, it says. So that's what the whole thing did look like. There were stairs out here in front, of course. And then here is Lieutenant Henry O'Flipper. Again, you can just read all of this stuff about him. Pause this. Just show you his picture. That's what he looked like. All right, so let's take a look at the building here. All right, so here, as you can see, the picture I just showed you. That's what that is. It's also got rocks. It's got a nice view. And there's that first big house that we looked at. Here's all the officer houses that we looked at. Hopefully my sound's coming through. You see the flag over there on the parade ground flying like crazy. Back to the visitor center. So that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this last part wasn't too bad and shaking this or anything. And we'll see you on the next one.